Fossil fuels accounted for 82% of global energy consumption in 2022, and with that came a new record for annual worldwide greenhouse gas emissions. It's a problem the US and China recently agreed to work together on. Combined, these countries account for 38% of the planet's greenhouse gases. Last week, representatives from both nations announced a deal that aims to increase clean energy, displace fossil fuels, and reduce emissions. This cooperation between the world's two biggest emitters is occurring ahead of the UN's COP28 climate summit, set to begin at the end of November. Officials from nearly 200 different countries will be gathering in Dubai to discuss global climate policy.
I think it's important that COP28 be more successful than expected, and that China and the US show leadership on a range of issues in this regard.
Leading up to this international conference, the UN has released a report detailing how far the world now is from reaching its previous climate goals. This report found that if even all countries stuck by their climate promises, emissions in 2030 would still be considerably higher than the target amount needed to stay on track for reaching carbon neutrality by 2050. The UN's warning comes amid steadily increasing global emissions in recent years. The restricted travel and limitations on other economic activities due to COVID-19 saw greenhouse gas outputs drop in 2020. Ultimately, things quickly reversed course. The following year, worldwide demand for coal and natural gas were already hitting pre-pandemic highs. And by 2022, emissions from these two energy sources were back to hitting record heights.
Obviously, with COVID, there has been some regression towards fossil fuels and away from the green technology commitments that many nations were making pre-COVID.
Out of the $17 trillion spent by world governments on pandemic recovery efforts, only about 10% of that was spent on initiatives that would cut emissions. Meanwhile, close to 30% of the money was spent on projects that are expected to increase emissions. Now, with COP28 on the horizon, experts are hopeful that joint efforts between the US and China regarding climate action will help spur renewed progress on this issue.
We're going to have to take 2 steps forward to get past the 1 step back that the last 3 years represented. So China and the US together can help do that on behalf of the rest of the world.